This is the Build Wealth Canada podcast, episode number 80.
Welcome to the Build Wealth Canada podcast, where it's all about becoming debt-free, accelerating your wealth, and taking control of your money. Now, here's your host, Cornell Schreiber.
Hey, it's Cornell. Sorry for the longer than usual pause since the last episode. As you probably know by now, I actually now run Canada's largest personal finance and investing conference, and it's actually happening next week. So September the 22nd, we've got over 20,000 Canadians attending. So needless to say, it's been pretty busy over here. So I apologize to keep you waiting with this episode. So before we get into today's interview, I did want to mention that I do have free tickets for you to the summit. It's a 100% online event, so you don't have to travel anywhere, and you can get them for free through the special link, which is buildwealthcanada.ca/summit. So buildwealthcanada.ca/summit, SUMMIT. It's bigger than ever this year. We have over 38 different presentations and interviews that you can watch for free. You'll learn an absolute ton, and it really has some of the top personal finance and investing experts here in Canada today. We've got the Warren Buffett of Canada, Peter Hudson, presenting again this year. We've got Kevin McCarthy, the creator of the TFSA, presenting. We've got Rob Carroll from the Globe and Mail, Canada's youngest retirees, Bryson Christie, and many, many more. So again, definitely sign up to get the free tickets. If you like the podcast, you'll love this, as it has a lot of interviews like in the podcast, but also a lot of full-blown educational presentations, as everything at the summit is in video format. And again, you can stream it all for free for a limited time, and I do stress limited time while the conference is running. And again, that's over at buildwealthcanada.ca/summit. So the summit takes place from September 22nd to September 25th. So definitely sign up now so you don't miss it. And if you're listening to this episode after September 25th, 2021, you can still go to that link and enter your email, and that way you'll receive free tickets from me for the next year's summit. So that link again for you to get your free tickets is buildwealthcanada.ca/summit. And now let's get into the interview. So my guest today is Arian Beyzaei. He is the Vice President of Enriched Academy, one of the most successful companies to be featured on the show Dragon's Den. Over the past 6 years, he has traveled around the country teaching students and entrepreneurs how to get smarter with their finances. He's also presented to over 10,000 people, has been a keynote speaker for several corporations. Arian has also been featured in the Financial Post, the Globe and Mail, and many more, providing personal finance tips and strategies. And what's really neat about Enriched Academy is that they are definitely one of, if not the largest financial literacy educators in Canada. Like I said before, they were on Dragon's Den. When they did that, I remember they had all the dragons actually bidding to be part of this company, and they've grown huge since then. They have over 100,000 students, so I thought it would be useful for Arian to share some of the top money-saving lessons learned after teaching that many students here in Canada. So in other words, what can really move the needle for all of us when it comes to making a dent in our spending? What are the highest impact saving strategies that we should be focusing on to really drastically increase the extra cash flow that we all receive month to month? So that's what we're going to be covering in today's episode, in today's interview. Now, one really neat thing that Enriched Academy is doing is that they actually have a one-on-one coaching program, and I'm actually going through it myself right now to see if there are any additional ways that I can optimize my own finances. And I've had my first coaching call already, and it actually blew my mind how after just one call, my coach Alana was already able to identify 2 key areas that could really boost our net worth even further. And I was surprised, to be honest. I'm a complete money nerd, as you know. I've been optimizing my finances for decades at this point. And so I thought, are there really any other optimizations that I could do that will actually move the needle for us? But I thought, hey, Cornell, you don't know what you don't know. There's always more to learn. So let's give it a shot. And like I said, after just one meeting, my coach was already able to identify 2 key ways for us to boost our net worth and actually boost our returns even further. So I'll actually be sharing more with you on that in the future once I implement these strategies so that you can learn what they are and maybe do them yourself as well. But right now, obviously, I'm swamped with the summit. So for now, what Arian and his team have done is they've created a custom page for Build Wealth Canada listeners where you can get a free assessment call with one of their coaches, just like I did. And so I highly recommend you give this a shot, as it's free, first of all, and I'm sure you'll learn an absolute ton, just like I did. They've put a lot of effort into making this available for free to Build Wealth Canada listeners. They have have real life coaches actually standing by that can actually have a free one-on-one call with you. And what's really neat is that their students like myself actually track the results of the coaching. And so to date, on average, the Canadians that they've coached have increased their passive income by $2,342. They've increased their net worth by $44,932, increased their credit score by 25 points, and reduced their advisor fees by 1.25%. And as we know, if you've listened to past episodes, that 1.25% savings can easily save you tens of thousands of dollars in unnecessary fees over your lifetime. And like I said, based on the value that I personally received, even in just after one call, I'm not really all that surprised at these results. So I think it's really cool that they actually track that. So the special page that they've set up for Build Wealth Canada listeners to get that free one-on-one assessment call is over at buildwealthcanada.ca/enriched. That's buildwealthcanada.ca/enriched. Give it a shot. It's free. There's no obligation or anything like that. And I'm sure you'll get some awesome value out of it, just like I did. All right. So now with that said, let's get into the interview. All right, Arian, welcome to the show.
Cornell, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor, a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I'm happy that you're finally on. I've had other guests from Enriched Academy on before, so it's great to finally have the Arian on. It's been definitely an exciting thing for me as well. Can you start us off by telling us a bit about yourself and Enriched Academy?
Oh yeah, for sure. So Enriched Academy, we're a financial literacy company, and we've created this really cool online platform to help Canadians achieve financial freedom. That's really our mission statement, to make financial freedom accessible to Canadians. Now, we do it through video courses, financial tools, one-on-one coaching, but it's really this unbelievable platform. And we've used technology as well as video content and tools to help Canadians not just educate themselves, but make those tough decisions. And Cornell, you've been through the platform yourself. Like, what was your experience going through it?
Yeah, it was really awesome. I went through the whole program I think it's been a few years ago at this point. And yeah, it's great. I mean, what got me really interested about you guys when I first heard of you is you guys were actually on Dragon's Den. And I remember you had all the dragons basically doing like a bidding war kind of thing because everybody wanted to be part of Enriched Academy, which was really, really neat. And so that's kind of, that's when you guys really came on my radar. And then, yeah, since then, yeah, like I've actually gone through the course as well, just to see like, do I like it? Is it good? Is it something I can recommend to listeners of the show? And yeah, I mean, it was great, like very, very high production quality. A lot of the guests that like experts that I have had on the show were actually also expert speakers on, as part of your platform, as part of the education, sort of that you guys provide. And it's great. I mean, it's one of those things where like I did the course that you guys had and the wealth mastery. And I mean, that's something, my kids are still too young. Like my eldest is going into grade 2. So It's a little too early for her. I know you guys have like a kids program, so I'm going to totally do that with her. I'm actually excited to try that. Like once the summit's over and things are a bit more calm, it's like, all right, honey, whether you like it or not, we're doing financial literacy training.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's not very exciting for kids to hear, Saturday night we're watching financial literacy videos, but honestly, what we found works, Cornell, you might want to try this, is pay your kids to watch them. Pay your kids, $100 and inspire them. And that's our youth program. I don't want to go too off the rails, but, we actually pay kids to watch our youth program. So the parent has to buy the program, but we pay the kids back $100 for watching the program. So I love that program. And what a great way to start. The videos are really fun. Like we put a lot of time and attention to not just making it like a boring, dull topic. We try to inject a lot of humor, engagement, and make it a little bit more dynamic because it's such a boring topic. Even the word financial literacy sounds boring. So how do we make it a little bit more fun and engaging?
Yeah. And I remember I got really good reception. I last year at the Canadian Financial Summit when I ran it, I remember we had Kevin McCarthy, so like the creator of the TFSA on there as well. He's been on the show here too. And I remember we had one of his segments was actually about teaching your kids about money at the Financial Summit. And it was ran by one of your partners at Enriched Academy. And yeah, I mean, it was a hit. People loved it because it's such a important thing to get that foundation right for the kids. And definitely a lot of Canadians I know were really interested in it. A lot of them ended up taking it. And yeah, and I'm actually for sure, I'm going to jump on board this year as soon as the summit ends. Cause I think my daughter's in grade 2. I think that's old enough, right? Like what's kind of the age that you would recommend
How
for
old
that?
is grade 2? Sorry, like what?
Oh, so it's seven. She's 7 years old.
Might be
Yeah.
a little early. But
Okay.
it really depends on the kid. Like there's some kids that are just so smart at a young age, and there's some kids that even they're in grade 8 and they still are a little late to mature. So it really depends on the kid.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as a parent, I think it's a must. But kind of before we went off rails on this tangent, like the whole reason I brought it up was because when I did the Enriched Academy, the Wealth Mastery course that you guys have, I was like, this is amazing. Why wasn't I being taught this in high school or university? It should be mandatory. And I know you guys, maybe talk about that later. You've actually done a lot of work with the Canadian government to actually be integrated into the schooling system, which is awesome. And I'm so happy to be involved with you guys and letting people know about you, because it's so great that you guys are actually trying to fight this financial literacy battle, because it's been, it's a very important skill, but we're just not taught it in schools for some bizarre reason. It does me nuts. So anyways, again, going off on a tangent here, but I mean, I wanted to get my daughter to do that wealth mastery program because I liked it so much, but I was like, okay, definitely this is still too early for her, because you're talking about like debt and credit scores and things like that nature. So it's so hence the kids program kind of thing. But you know what, Arian, like we weren't even going to talk about the kids program at all, but we just kind of, you got me all excited about it because I have fond memories. For that, what I'll do is if anybody wants to check it out, I'll do a link for it. So I'll make one where like it redirects people to that course. If there are any parents listening that want to do it, let's make it buildwealthcanada.ca/kids. Well, let's do it that buildwealthcanada.ca/kids, and then we'll take people there, and then they can check it out. And yeah, I'm excited to do it once the summit's over. And but like you said, maybe she's a bit too young for it. We'll see. We'll test it out.
No, for sure. Test it out. Watch 1 or 2 videos and see what her reaction is.
Awesome. But yeah, so to answer your question long-windedly, yeah, I was really happy with the platform. I wish this stuff was mandatory in schools. Because, and then for sure, I'm forcing my kids to take it when they're older, 100%. Now, you guys actually had some inroads with the actual Canadian government in making financial literacy more, kind of more standard, right? Can you maybe share a little bit about that? I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Enriched Academy, we've been on this journey for 10 years. Like I've been a part of the company almost 8 years. It's been a long time, and truthfully so, it's not been the easiest path to spread financial literacy across the country. It's very difficult. No one's really done what we're trying to do before, create this financial literacy. We don't sell financial products. That's the big difference between us. We're not selling mutual funds or insurance products. We're just giving education. So we started off doing free presentations at high schools. I did a lot of those. They started getting a little bit of traction. Then we started developing our curriculum. And then we realized the biggest reason a lot of kids aren't good with money is because their parents aren't too good with money. So then we started creating a program for parents. But we had Kevin McCarthy join the company a few years ago, and he's our head of education. He actually created a tax-free savings account. He's been on the show as well. And he has taken our education division to a whole other level where we're getting into school boards. We just signed a historical deal with the government of Alberta to bring our education and our platform to high schools right across the province. And once you get one province, we're going to do an amazing job with them, show the impact of this education, as we already seen with our pilot program, and bring it to other provinces across the country. So we're excited about that program and just for Enriched Academy in general. But it is a very difficult process to spread this education that everyone knows that we should be getting. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, why is it so hard? I don't know.
For sure. And for Canadians as well, right? Because, we see all these things in the US and it's like, well, we actually do need something custom for Canadians too, right? Because there are certain differences. I do want to point out too that, you're talking about having the program be as part of teaching kids and, high schools, for example. But I do want to make it clear, because I've gone through the program. It's not like this is a program just for high school students or just for post-secondary students, because if you're, my generation or older or even maybe a bit younger, or even probably any generation, you have not, I don't know what the curriculum is now at other schools, but I was never taught this at school as part of any curriculum. So whether you're, 20, 30, 40, 50, if you've never been taught this, then this program is probably relevant to you because so the age doesn't really matter in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Because the lessons are ones that should have been taught to you in high school. But if you're 50 and you still haven't heard them, you should definitely still hear them. It's not like they're not relevant to you.
Absolutely. And we
right?
have a program that's specifically designed for adults and one specifically designed for high school kids. So there's two different
gotcha.
ones.
Okay. Okay. I thought it was the same. I thought it was the same thing I took, but I see it's like a different one.
No,
sense.
totally different tools, different platform,
Yeah.
Different education. They're just two totally different in their journey of life, right? When you're in high school, you're thinking about how do I get a job, things like that, and basic saving and investing. But as you're an adult, you're dealing with things like line of credits, mortgages.
Right.
You get a little bit more advanced financial advisors.
Gotcha. Okay, so the one I took was the adult one, and then the one I've been talking and saying good things about, but you're saying you've got like even a more like custom one actually for high school and stuff. So sounds good. Yeah, I just didn't want any adults that need this education to get the impression like, they just focused on schools and kids and stuff, because that's not the case. It just obviously makes the most sense to get this into the kids' brains, because that's what builds the foundation and sets them up for success. You don't want to teach it to them when they're 40 and they're $30,000 in credit card debt, and it's like, I wish if only I knew, about compounding and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Right? You kind of want to hit the kids while they're fresh and they're absorbing this, right?
Absolutely. The younger, the better. And as a parent, unfortunately, the whole system doesn't really teach kids about money. The school system doesn't, governments don't, corporations don't, the workplace doesn't. So as a parent, it is kind of your responsibility, or you can look at it that way. We would encourage parents to look at it that way. Like, how do I equip my kids with, give them a head start? This topic of money, they should learn. And that's why we created our program, because it's hard to sit down and teach your kids about money, but give them this program, pay them $100 to watch it. And then in a few hours, they have a really strong foundation for the rest of their life. And that's why we designed it. It was for parents to teach their kids.
Yeah. I remember you telling me it was like $200 for the program, but then actually like $100 of that you pay for the program goes right back to the kids. But once they actually complete the program, right? So it's a really cool, I think, setup for sure. Because then it's like the money's there.
You got to incentivize the kids. At first, the kids want to spend that $100 to go to the mall and buy new shoes. But watch, after they go through the program, they want to take that $100 and buy stocks and open up a high interest savings account, right? Like things that the parents are like, where did you learn that? What is a ETF? What are you talking about now? Yeah. So it's really exciting to see kind of the transformation that the kids go through.
Very, very cool. That's great. Yeah. So I'll link out to that. Like I said, we'll make it buildwealthcanada.ca/kids. But it's funny, we didn't even have this as a question that we prepared for this interview. But we just
this podcast is gonna be 4.5 hours long.
We're not off to a good start because we are not even on question 1 yet, and I've actually already asked you a whole bunch of questions. So. But I mean, but the kids thing, I guess it's just top of mind for me, right? The kids are already learning math in the school, and you sort of start thinking, and they start asking, like at grade 1, they start asking you questions about money. They're learning basic addition. And so you're kind of like, okay, when do I, and they see these YouTube ads and consumerism and spending. And so, you kind of, as a parent, you get that on your radar. Okay, they're already sort of getting conditioned by these commercials. This whole like consumerist lifestyle's already getting kind of pushed onto them. And so you kind of, as a parent, want to, okay, well, what can I do to make sure that they don't kind of fall prey to all of these bad things that are out there? So,
absolutely,
from a financial literacy standpoint. So, anyways, let's actually get into the questions. We gotta pick your brain on your expertise here. Very cool. But yeah, like I love what you guys are doing, so that's why I'm kind of so passionate and want to talk about it. But okay, so question 1 is that we talk a lot about increasing our wealth through investing on the show, but higher, just through getting a higher income or higher return on investment. But that's only one component of growing our net worth. The other, of course, is saving and not incurring unnecessary liabilities. So to kick things off, why should finding ways to save money be on our radar as opposed to us just focusing on maximizing our income and maximizing returns through our investments?
Yeah, it's a great question, Cornell. And, I think if you take a step back and you look at the goal, what is your goal right now? And it's important to step back and just ask yourself, what's the goal? And financially, a lot of people say, I want to improve my credit score, get a great rate of return, retire. But at Enriched, we've spent so much time and energy and working with so many people. We found out the real goal is passive income. How do you stop working and still have money come in as if you are working? How do you reach a point where you could go to your mailbox and there's checks waiting for you, whether or not you work? That's really the goal. That's what retirement is. That's what a pension is. Now, the formula to passive income is not just passive income. It's passive income subtract your passive expenses. So even if you're getting a 15% return and you're making $100,000 per year in passive income, you could still be living paycheck to paycheck because your expenses are just through the roof. So the reason why focusing on your passive expenses is so important is it's half the equation to creating passive income. It's half as important, yet nobody talks about it. Everyone's focused on how do you get a great rate of return? Oh, look at this new investment vehicle. Go get minimize your taxes. And those are all great strategies. That's like the offense, the way that I see it. Get a great rate of return. Offense, defense, lower your passive expenses. And I also think, Cornell, it just lowers the pressure of having to make money and having to make a great return. Like, how amazing would it be if you could just have an extra $1,000 a month without working more hours, getting another job, going into a risky investment? You just have an extra $1,000. Like, that would be unbelievable for most people. And it's possible. Because if you're listening right now and you're thinking, I can't do it, I'm a single mom, I'm too busy, already living paycheck to paycheck, you can do it. Our average coaching client, just a stat to show you, saves $1,214 each month without increasing their income, just by learning how to budget, by lowering their expenses, which is what this episode's all about. Like, how do you lower your monthly expenses? What are some tangible tips and strategies? So I'm excited for this episode. I think it's great. And it's just a topic that doesn't get a lot of love, not a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And I know you guys have actually created a special guide for this episode as well, where that anybody listening will be able to download, where you have actual like scripts that you can use when you call, I believe it's like, like your telecom provider, that kind of a thing, right? To save money. Did you want to maybe talk about that a little bit? Because I know it's a free thing you want to throw in. And these are things like you guys have actually tested, I believe, right? That actually work and can really start kind of shaving those monthly expenses quite a bit.
No, absolutely. In Enriched Academy, we're past the education point. Like, education is the first step to changing your life. It's great, but then you need resources. You need to take that education and put it into action. And then you need coaching. So one of our most popular resources that we're offering to Build Wealth Canada listeners for free is called our bill reduction script. So what it is, it's a resource that shows you what are the different types of bills that you can actually lower, from insurance to your banking, your credit card interest, annual. It's a whole list. Then we're going to teach you how to negotiate, because the days of just calling Rogers and saying, I want to lower my bills, transfer me to your manager or to retention, those days are over. So we actually teach you how to negotiate. And then we even go a step further and give you the word for word script, exactly what to say on the phone when you're speaking to your insurance company or Bell or your phone bill, you name it. So it's a great script. I think it's buildwealthcanada.ca/script that you can go and download that.
Yeah, just buildwealthcanada.ca/script. So as soon as we get off this call, I'm going to kind of set it up so that will just, for free, it'll just auto redirect people to that, so people can download it and check it out and use it. So no, that's great. I mean, I like how you guys actually get into like the tactical piece too, not just like high level. It's easy to say lower your bills, but it's a lot harder to like, okay, well, how do you ask for it? What if they push back? How will they push back so I can be prepared? That kind of a thing, right? Like very actual, like tactical, for kind of frontline kind of things that you actually need to know if you're going to be pulling it off. So so thanks for preparing that for all the listeners. I know you guys have some amazing content out there. And I appreciate you guys like taking the effort to making this available for everyone. And now a quick break to tell you about some of the resources you may find helpful on our Build Wealth Canada site. Hey, just a quick intermission for you in case you missed it in the intro. The Canadian Financial Summit is next week, September 22nd to the 25th. So don't forget to get your free tickets, which are available over at buildwealthcanada.ca. wealthcanada.ca/summit. You don't have to go anywhere. It's all online. You can stream all the talks for free. It is for a limited time, so definitely do it now. You can watch it in your pajamas if you want, and you'll learn an absolute ton, as we've brought on over 30 of some of the top financial experts in Canada. Arian's going to be there doing a presentation. My coach from Enriched Academy, Alana, is doing a presentation too. The founder of the TFSA, Kevin McCarthy, is going to be presenting. He's actually part of the Enriched Academy team now as well. So definitely join if you haven't already. And again, that special link to get the free tickets to the entire event and have access to all the talks is over at buildwealthcanada.ca/summit. So SUMMIT. And lastly, in case you missed it in the intro, I really want to promote the free assessment page that Arian and his team have put together for Build Wealth Canada listeners so that you guys can have a free assessment call to see if there are any ways that your finances can be optimized. Like I said earlier, it blew my mind how quickly my coach was able to identify areas of optimization for me, even with me being a money nerd that's been optimizing his finances for decades. So I definitely encourage you to give it a shot. They put a ton of work into making this available for free to Build with Canada listeners. I'm a huge fan of what they are doing. They don't sell any investment products, so they are totally unbiased, which is a key reason why I decided to take part in their coaching, as their advice is 100% geared really towards benefiting you, so they don't get any commissions or anything like that, as they don't sell any investment products. So there's definitely no conflict of interest. And as you know, if you've listened to past episodes, there are a lot of people that will call themselves advisors or coaches or whatever, and it looks like they're trying to help you at first glance, but really they're just trying to sell you some high-fee product that they get a commission from. And so Enriched Academy is definitely not one of those places. They don't sell any investment products. And so that really was one of the key reasons why I decided to go with them for the coaching personally. So again, that page to get a free assessment call is over at buildwealthcanada.ca/enriched. That's ENRICHED. buildwealthcanada.ca/enriched. All right, so that's it. Thanks for listening. And now back to the show. Okay, awesome. So when it comes to saving money on things that really move the needle in increasing our financial well-being, housing and transportation come to mind as really the top areas to optimize. Can you give us some insights and advice on these two areas in particular?
Yeah, those are the big two. And, you can be a coupon cutting, penny pinching, just superstar. You are a rock star at going to the grocery store and just penny pinching. But if these two areas aren't optimized, your housing and your transportation, you're still going to have a lot of stress. You're going to have a lot of pressure. And the reason why is this is 48% of our income goes to transportation and housing. Stats Canada did a study. That's half of our money gone. So how do you control these two expenses? So if we take a look at housing, let's look at that for a second. You shouldn't have more than 30% of your after-tax dollars going to housing. Right now, it's 33%. Okay, so what you need to do is ask yourself, okay, how much do I make after tax? How much is my rent? How much is my insurance? How much is my Netflix? Everything that goes into your house, not just your mortgage or your rent, like everything that goes into it. And I know that list can be huge, but try your best to do that and figure out what's your percentage. Where are you at? Because if you don't know what your percentage is, it's impossible to know, do you need to improve that? Or do I need to make adjustments? Most people will have to make adjustments, and there's no easy solution. There really isn't. A couple of the things that we've seen work really well: relocating, moving. This is a really big step, but this one step right here can change your life. If you go from living in a place like Ontario to being able to move out east, that could dramatically lower your housing expenses. And I know that's not realistic for a lot of people. I get it, but consider it. And maybe into retirement, maybe not right now, but maybe you can start planning for retirement. So instead of your housing expenses being $2,000 a month, can you get it down to $1,300, $1,200 a month? Game changer. Another thing that we've seen work really well is people that are able to move, not necessarily across the country, but maybe they're able to move down the street or to a town next to them. But instead of having a single family home, they're able to buy a multi-family home with a basement that they can rent out. And we have literally seen people be able to retire just by doing this. You live in a $500,000 home, and you want to move to the town next to you. And now that home is not going to cost $500,000, $600,000. So let's say you even have to pay more money, but you can rent out the basement and you're getting $1,500 a month every single month. And you can write things off. There's so many great tax benefits as well. So that's another strategy, those two. And then I'd also look at the Smith maneuver. This is something, Cornell, I know you've talked about it, but can you make your mortgage tax deductible? That could save you a couple $1,000s a year. There's a method to do that. So just search online, Smith maneuver, Canada. It's just a way to make your mortgage tax deductible. Another great option for Canadians.
Sure. Yeah, we've had Ed Rempel on the show here before. He's pretty well known on the Smith maneuver, in the Smith maneuver space. That's kind of one of his like areas of expertise. If you Google him, I think it's just edrempel.com, and you look at some of his top posts, you'll be able to find it. If you want to learn more about it, what it is. Yeah, it's just edrempel.com. I can't remember if it was .ca or .com, but yeah,
check out the episode there. I've listened to that one.
Yeah,
and I forgot who the individual was, but it's a great episode, and it's a great option to do. It might not make sense for you, but learn about it. Why not? See if it's viable.
Oh, for sure, right? Like just to know that it's out there, and maybe it's for you, maybe it's not, but like you said, knowing about it cannot hurt, and it's like an item on the menu, right? And then you can decide whether you actually want to sort of go down that path, right? Because it's definitely not for everyone, right? Like you're using leverage, like it's not a it's not like a 101 level thing, right? Like you need to make sure you do it properly, using an expert so that the revenue agency doesn't come knocking, that kind of stuff, right? Absolutely. So there's definitely a right and wrong way to do it. But I'm glad you mentioned it because that can make a huge impact. Because in the US, they get to write off at least last I checked, they're able to write off the interest on their mortgage. Us Canadians are not, but there is this maneuver that's like definitely by the more sort of advanced, complicated level, but that pretty much lets you do that as well, just in a kind of a different way. So
thank you. All of these strategies are so intimidating, right? Like Smith maneuver, even that word sounds like maneuver. Like, what the heck is this? Like, what? It just sounds shady a little bit. Or relocating or moving to a duplex. Like, these things are very intimidating, but the more you educate yourself and the more you understand it, the less intimidating they become, right? It's just like anything, learning about money, whether it's ETFs or real estate investing. At first, it sounds scary, but the more you familiar yourself with it, it just gets easier. And the last thing I'll say, Cornell, transportation, I'll touch on that a little. Rule of thumb is 10%. You shouldn't be spending more than 10% of your after-tax dollars on a depreciating asset that goes down, that just costs you so much money every single month. It doesn't make sense. Canadians were about 18%. And this is a tough one. People get mad at us. Like, I can't do 18%. I need to get that, that number is too high. You can't put money into something that costs you money each month that's going down in value. It's really not.
It's the opposite of investing, right? It's like we talk so much about investing on the show and compounding your returns and all that. And this is like, here's a different idea. What if you put money into your savings into something, and then it goes, and it's like guaranteed to go down in value.
Guaranteed to go down. Yeah. And you know what, Cornell? Let's do it every 5 years.
Yeah.
Let's do it every 5 years. Let's keep putting money into something that keeps going down in value. And there's no easy fix for this. It's tough. I live in Toronto, so I don't have a car, and it's life-changing. Like, I live in a condo. The parking is $300 a month just to park your car. Insurance, you have the registration. You have to get that sticker. That's like another $100 a year. Repairs. It's just an endless list of expenses for something that just keeps going down in value. Mm-hmm. And for me, I did the math. I'm saving hundreds of dollars a month by Ubering places, by, not having a vehicle. But if you're out in the suburbs, you can't do this. It doesn't make sense for you. But can you maybe share a car with your spouse? Can you make some compromises and some sacrifices? It's not easy. It's not going to be convenient, but try to limit the things that you put money into that go down in value. That's kind of the lesson here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember when we went from 2 cars to 1 car, I was blown away how much we saved. It's one of those things where, because it's like, with a car, I find, like, obviously if you buy it outright, there's that initial large cash expenditure. But I remember being so pleasantly surprised of how much you save, because it's just like a little bit here, a little bit there, right? Like, oh, there's an oil change here. Even like you said, the sticker on the car, there's another thing, right? A car's going to need something more major than just oil changes once a year, right?
Yeah.
Even like the newer cars, like they're going to need something, changing the winter tires, all these little things, which it's so easy to just get used to them because you just have to do them. But once we went down from 2 cars to 1 car, I mean, it's nuts to have all of that cut in half. It was just wild. I think my point here is, I think I would assume that a lot of Canadians maybe underestimate how much they can save by going down to 1 car, because I know I for sure did. And I'm like a financial geek that like tracks all his expenses and everything to the extreme. And even still, I was super surprised. So just, again, maybe not for everyone, but something to at least get on your radar and make an informed decision whether that is something. Because like you said, it's a game changer. I mean, the amount of money, and then you can take that money, invest it. Now you're letting it compound. I mean, it's great if you can do it, for sure.
Yeah, all these little things that add up. Like, okay, $200 here, $300 there. All of a sudden, saving $1,000 extra a month. That's a week of work. I don't have to work a week a year, and money is still coming in as if I'm working every week, in the month. It's just unbelievable, right? And then how do you take that week, turn it into 2 weeks, and then 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden, the whole month you don't have to work, and you have this passive income that's coming in. That's the goal, passive income. And we're focused on the passive expenses right now because it's an important point to discuss that not a lot of people do.
Yeah. And I think now we're living in an age where this should really be on your radar more than ever, both the housing piece we just talked about and the car piece, because of COVID, right? I'm really curious to see how things develop, because already I've talked to quite a few people where their employers have adapted to how they have the system set up now to have their employees work remotely because they had to, out of necessity. That infrastructure wasn't built into their company before. Now it is because they had to. And so now you've got this sort of different value proposition happening where you've got companies trying to cut costs, right? They're paying a lot for rent to have an office building. I mean, if I've seen quite a few where they're like, we don't need this building anymore because we've seen now that our employees can actually work remotely, or some will be like, oh, you come in once a week or something, but then you need a lot less office space because you just have like shared cubicles or whatever. Right. And so I think now, I mean, if you were maybe like nervous about asking your employer to work from home a few days a week or something like that, I mean, now is like the time to do it because they're kind of used to it. They actually may have the infrastructure for that now. And I mean, it's that kind of thing that maybe now allows you to move a little bit further out from the city where you're going to be paying a lot less in housing, or maybe that now lets you go down to 1 car instead of 2, because now you can share the car with your partner because, hey, you only need the car 3 days a week. Maybe your partner only needs it 2 days, right? There's all these like different things you can try to optimize around. And I mean, it results in thousands in savings. You can throw that right into your retirement or spend it depending on your financial situation. Yeah. But I mean, like you said, who doesn't want an extra $1,000 plus a month? And I think now it's like, if you've dismissed these things before, I think now, as horrible as COVID is, it has created, I think, this opportunity for people to maybe go down to 1 vehicle when they couldn't really before, because they're now able to do these remote work arrangements. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And to your point, Canada is a beautiful country. There are some beautiful places across this country that you can live at a very affordable, price. And even if you just search on Google, like most affordable and beautiful places to live in Canada, like out east is unbelievable. You go out west to some of the islands there. Oh my God, they're great. And some people, I'll be away from my family. But if you can start to plan this stuff, like, okay, I want to come visit every other month, and you actually plan those things. How much is that going to cost? Okay, round trip flight. Oh, I might have to get a babysitter. I have to bring my kid. And you start to weigh the pros and the cons of doing it, but just start to think a little differently and be open to these things. There's some beautiful places in Canada, like unbelievable. And it's worth exploring, 100%.
Yeah, I recently interviewed a guest, and he's a financial planner. He used to work I think it was downtown Ottawa. So, obviously more expensive rent, right? Because you're downtown, you're in the core. Yeah. And this company basically, like what I was just saying, switched over where now their employees, or at least, he's allowed to work remotely all the time whenever he wants now and then now, so him and his family ended up moving kind of further out. Now they have a house by a lake, away from the city. He's a nature guy. So this is like, perfect for him. And he just works from home. And I mean, that's a huge change, right? I mean, now you're working from home. You probably only need one car because one of you is working from home all the time. You're probably saving a ton on, rent, or you can buy a house because it's much, further out in the country. So it's cheaper. I mean, like huge life-changing decisions, right? Just from switching to working remotely instead of that sort of traditional way where we're stuck in the commute, on the commute for half an hour or for an hour, even some people, right? Or more. That definitely something to think about for sure. Yeah. Okay, awesome. So, while housing and transportation, they're definitely high priority areas due to their high price. Another area that I think can have a large impact is those smaller but recurring expenses that we sign up for, which end up really draining our cash flow on an ongoing basis. So can you give us your thoughts and strategies on those?
Yeah, and earlier, Cornell, you said something interesting about your car. You said we just get used to these bills, like, we have to do oil change, tire change. We just get used to them. And same with our recurring bills. I'm a victim of this. You get used to the Netflix bill. Got to pay Spotify, annual fee on my bank charge. You get used to these bills. And the reality is you can either eliminate or really reduce these recurring bills. And the way that I look at it, Cornell, every $100 that I save, it's like making $200 because you don't have to pay tax on the money and you're not working for that money. You might have to work to call and get it lowered, but that $100 I'm saving is every single month for like the rest of my life. What a great return on investment. So the big ones that you need to control, banking. I don't know, like you shouldn't pay anything for banking. Like you shouldn't be paying monthly fees on it.
Agreed.
You shouldn't pay annual payments unless you're spending enough where it makes sense, like an Aero. Like I spend a lot for Enriched and the business. And so I have the Aeroplan one, but I did the cost analysis and it makes sense. But even those annual payments, I've called them and I've said, you know what? You can't do this every year, but I did it last year. I said, you know what? I've been paying this annual fee. I don't really want to pay it this year. And they're like, okay. It was as easy as that. Now, if I were to try to do it again this year, I'm not going to say that. I'll use the script that we're providing and just be a little bit more strategic with how I say, like, I'm not spending as much. It doesn't make sense for me to have this. Let me just downgrade the card. I don't need it. And they'll usually try to win you. Oh, you know what? This year we'll do free for you. But banking for sure. Phone bill, TV, internet, negotiate those. You could get huge wins there. And again, that resource that we created will show you what you can negotiate, how to negotiate, and exactly what to say. And guys, we have people that this is one of the first things we get people to do when they join Enrich, because it's a quick win. It's like, let's get that momentum going for you. And we have people that are saving. They make a couple calls and I'm saving $300-$400 a month, a couple $1,000s a year just from making a few phone calls. So that resource will really, really help you out. So make sure to download that. Yeah.
Just to recap it, that's buildwealthcanada.ca/script is what is kind of what I created.
And it goes into more detail. Like I can give you an overview here. Another one is insurance. That you can negotiate insurance, especially if car insurance. Call your guys. I'm working from home. I'm barely driving my car. Why am I still paying so much insurance? Right? You can negotiate more than you think, and that resource will give you a full list of different things.
Awesome. Yeah, when you brought up the banking, I've been asking this question for years because I still don't know the answer, and no one's been able to give me a good answer, and I'm hoping to get one. So when you drive by one of the sort of brick and mortar banks and you see the giant lineups, to speak to a teller, I don't know why people are paying, and all those people are paying for their banking, right? Like the monthly fee or whatever. And if it's waived, it's usually because you have a really large amount in your checking account, which means you basically have cash tied up that's earning you no interest or little to no interest. So you're basically actually losing money because of inflation, right? So I just don't know, If you're a business, I get it. Like I have a business with like a big brick and mortar business account with a brick and mortar bank, because you sort of need it, at least from my experience, just because like for taxes and like the government integration with the taxes primarily, that's like the real reason. And so I have it for that. But for people that I know like aren't business owners, I don't know why you would have like a regular consumer retail account at a bank that you have to pay for, because there's really good banks out there. Like people of the show know I'm a big EQ Bank guy. I've been with them for years, right? So because like their interest rate's incredible. But so I mean, like for someone to have to pay like $5, $10, $20 a month to bank is just beyond me. I don't understand that. Have you ever heard a like somewhat good reason that why someone would pay for banking?
No good reason.
Okay.
Maybe if you're someone that really likes going to the teller and you just love that human interaction,
right? Maybe
you're paying for that, but
then you're paying for human interaction, which is kind of sad because you can get that for free other places.
Oh Lord!
But I guess I get it. Like some people feel more comfortable like talking with a person instead of online.
Trust they're old, like maybe a little old school, thinking. My mom's like that. My mom, get her to say financial information over the phone, like good luck.
And you know what, that's fair. Like for sure, like I know what you're saying. Like there are people that are much older generations than myself that sort of, they have this comfort level. They're maybe not that good with tech. Okay, so in those cases, I get it. I guess what I'm referring to more so is those people like where I see people my age, lined up at a teller because they want to withdraw like $100 and deposit a check. It's like, like, come on, guys.
If you're still that old school banking, give like something like EQ Bank a try for sure. Just try it out. And if you don't like it, then just go back. Worst case scenario, you just go back. Best case scenario, you're saving $20 a month, $240 a year. Yeah. It adds up.
Yeah, it's huge. So shameless plug. Go to if you want to try EQ, because I have their link because they sponsor the show and stuff. So I wasn't even planning on like mentioning anything about EQ. But it's buildwealthcanada.ca/EQ. If you want to go get it.
Well, you need these resources. Like that's the thing again. Like education is good. We're an educational company, but it only takes you so far. Like you need resources, you need tools, you need a coach to push that education. We find a lot of people, they read books, they attend courses, but they do very little with that information because just human beings, we get stuck, we hit an obstacle, we have our own psychology. So I love the fact that you have these resources.
For sure. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like when I find a tool that basically I use all the time anyway, because it's really good. And then I reach out to them and be like, hey, do you guys want to sponsor the show? But secretly it's like, nice. I'm going to be recommending you guys to people anyway. So can you at least sponsor it? Because, that would help the show and support the show. But I mean, like I was recommending them for years before they even sponsored the show. Cause like it's a no brainer, right? Like if you're paying for banking, that does make sense. And then like the high interest rate and stuff. All right, this wasn't supposed to be an EQ ad, but but it naturally came up, and I'm like, all right. But they are very good. So anyways,
they're great. Yeah, they're great.
Okay, so moving on. Right now, while mortgage rates are relatively low these days, they are nevertheless a very large monthly cash flow drain for most Canadians. Can you talk about some of your favorite mortgage tactics to help us save money on that?
Yeah. So with the mortgage, with the low rate environment, you got to take advantage of these low rates, right? Like if you have a mortgage right now of $500,000 and you could lower your interest by 1%, that's $5,000 a year in savings. It's more than $400 a month. Even if you just lower it by 0.5%, that's $2,500 in savings, every year, $200 a month. So it's, not everyone listening is going to be able to lower their interest rates. Some of you are in a fixed mortgage. Some of you, you're already at a very low rate. But I would recommend to look around, right? Look at the different mortgages out there. Go outside of the big five banks. There are some great A lenders, very reputable, very fantastic lenders out there that aren't banks. And what's worked really well for our students is getting a mortgage broker, right? The challenge when you go to a bank only has access to their financial products. So if you walk into RBC, just as an example, RBC isn't going to say, you know what, Cornell, your situation would really benefit from that mortgage from CIBC.
Right, right.
They're not saying that. They're going to try to push their products. What a mortgage broker does, they're kind of like the middle person. They're the middleman that they can go look at all the different mortgages out there, whether it's CIBC, RBC, A lender, B lender, and they'll come to you and say, okay, here are your top 3 options. Here are the pros and cons. And that way you're getting just so many different mortgage options than just the one with the bank. So mortgage broker, absolutely find the right one. There's a lot out there.
For sure.
And the other thing is, that's probably the biggest, I would say, home equity line of credit. If you want to look at taking advantage of that, again, going back to the Smith maneuver, but if it makes sense for you, right? Everyone is different. If it makes sense for you and you have equity in your home, you could borrow money at 2 to 4% interest rates, getting a home equity line of credit, use that money to buy an investment property or invest it in the markets or do some private lending with it that's earning you 8+% return. That makes a lot of sense. And you can write off that interest that you're paying for the loan. Again, it's not for everyone, but Warren Buffett said, if you don't learn how to make money while you sleep, you will work until the day that you die. And if you have equity in your home, that's money sitting there doing nothing. It's not working for you. It's just sitting around doing absolutely nothing. So try to get that money working for you. Now, if you're getting closer to retirement, you don't like risk, this might not work for you. So it really depends on your situation.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, just something to have on your radar, definitely. Yeah, when you mentioned the mortgage broker piece, I think just going to sort of the bank you've always gone with or sticking to the provider that kind of you already bank with, it's convenient because they already have my information, that kind of thing. I don't know, to me, that's kind of like buying something really expensive and only going to one store to see what it is and then just accepting whatever it is they give you. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to buy a car, you're not just going to go to like this dealer because they're close by or whatever arbitrary reason. And I'm not going to shop around. Why would I, right? Well, of course you would. Of course you're going to shop around. So with mortgages, same idea, right? Like you're going to be paying thousands and thousands of dollars into this thing, right? So don't you want to shop around? And the thing is, definitely I'm very, well, listeners of the show know, like I'm very big on mortgage brokers as well. We've used one every single time. I mean, like to me, it's a no brainer, right? Like why would you want to restrict your options to just like one provider? It makes zero sense. We were mentioning resources before. Listeners of the show already know who listen to this often. We do have a resident mortgage expert on the show who basically, if there's any sort of mortgage related questions that I get, I always send it off to him because he is actually like a mortgage broker. He's a best-selling author too. So Sean Cooper is the guy.
Sean Cooper. He's in the Enriched Academy.
That's right.
Too. Just a great individual, and it's worth having that conversation because the worst case scenario is like, nope, your mortgage is great, can't do anything. Okay, I just spent an hour of my time, not even 30 minutes. Best
but
case
what
scenario,
if that saves you like 10 grand long term, right?
And the best case scenario can save you thousands of dollars a year. Like it could be life changing. The best case scenario. Like give it a why not?
Yeah, I remember. Really, I remember seeing Sean because you guys had him as part of your curriculum and he was giving some education on the mortgages and real estate and that kind of thing. Yeah. So for anybody interested, it's we have a special page for him because he basically does free consults for Build Wealth Canada listeners. Like if you have mortgage questions that you want answered, if your mortgage is coming up for renewal, or if you want to get a new mortgage, like anything like that, or just just general questions, right, that you want to know from someone that's like actually in the field and is up to date on like because the mortgage rules change all the time. So that's why I was like, I'm not going to be the mortgage guy because I'm not going to keep up to date on all the changes that the government makes and the banks make. So he is an actual licensed mortgage broker. It's his job to actually be up to date on everything. And he looks at like 60 plus lenders and basically picks out the best mortgages. So he's always on the prowl for the latest and greatest mortgages out there. So so definitely check this stuff out. The link for the free consult for him is buildwealthcanada.ca/Sean. So just SEAN, buildwealthcanada.ca/Sean. So check it out. It's free. There's no obligation. You don't have to get a mortgage through him or anything like that. It's just like a no-brainer. It's just a really, really good resource. And I've never had a single complaint or anything like that. People have been and Arian, like you said, you guys have him as well, right? So
he's great.
Yeah.
No, I love Sean. He is fantastic, and I think your listeners, they only have 15 different things to do after this episode.
I know. I was like, I don't know. I should
this
say
is one of
anything.
those ones you got to listen to like 15 times, right? Like, a few times just to make sure you did everything. Okay, I got my mortgage. Okay, banking. Okay, resource here, boot mortgage. But that's good. Like this is, we're hitting high level, the key things you want to look for: mortgages, banking, recurring bills. So it's good.
Definitely. Yeah. And I do really want to provide the resources, right? Because it's one thing to know what you have to do, but then, it's like, you really want to know the next step or a good resource. It's like, I can tell you, go find a good high interest savings account. And then now it's like, you're like, well, that's great. But now I got to spend what am I going to spend? Like 4 hours looking at rates. And you know what I mean? Versus if it's like, well, look, Arian likes this bank. Cornell likes the same one. Maybe that should be one of the ones I look at and maybe like a few other ones, and then you're probably good, right? Instead of it being like a 4-hour project where you're like starting. So same with that, right? Like Sean's a great resource. Like I mentioned EQ as well. So thanks Arian for that. Now, if someone's looking, so did you have anything else to add, or do you want to move on to the next one? All right. So if someone's looking for a little bit of extra income this year without an enormous time commitment, do you have a favorite go-to that you found many Canadians can benefit from?
Yeah, I would say negotiating your recurring payments. We've only said it 15 times in this show, but for sure, you spend a couple hours to save money for years to come. That's number one. The other thing you could do is sell some of your stuff that's laying around at home. Kijiji did the study in 2017. They found out the average Canadian made, $1,200 from just selling stuff around their house. And I know it's not life-changing money, right? You're not going to be able to go to St. Lucia with that kind of money, but it's still pretty good. Why not? So those two things I think can help out. Sell your stuff, get rid of all that stuff that's sitting around in your house, negotiate your recurring payments, and then I'll just educate yourself, keep learning about these things. We just talked about Smith maneuver that could save you thousands of dollars without working more hours, right? The education component is huge. You should be devoting, a few hours, 1-2 hours a month, educating yourself and learning, because all it takes is one idea that could absolutely have a huge impact on your financial future. It's worth the time to educate yourself.
For sure. Yeah, I love what you guys are doing, because I find with financial education, you get so much kind of ROI, your return on investment on time invested, right? Like there's certain things you can do in life where you're like, okay, you do this thing here, it benefits you a little bit. Awesome. And maybe that's worth like $100. But I find like in the personal finance space, it's like, we're not dealing with like 25-cent coupons that you save at a grocery store, right? We're talking about like, hey, you just saved X, like several $1,000s because you got a better mortgage. You just saved, you renegotiated some of these agreements you have, like with the scripts that you're providing, and you saved an extra, let's say $300 a month. And now you've got that money that you can spend or invest for your retirement or your kids' education, that kind of thing. So like, it's not like these little incremental things, right? It's like they really move the needle in terms of increasing your net worth, in terms of increasing, you having a better standard of living. I mean, all of that, right? So that's what I really like about the industry and what you guys are doing, right? Because
we're not trying to be we're not trying to be just a education company. We're trying to change lives, right? And that's why we created coaching and these resources, because we just noticed these people that they're attending these webinars and these classes and they're educating themselves, but are they really moving the needle? Are they really getting closer to their dreams and their goals? And frankly, the answer was no. So, every day we ask ourselves, what can we do to help Canadians take that next step, get closer to financial freedom? And we have invested millions of dollars on our platform. Our coaching program is just unbelievable. The process, the system, the automations, all those things, and our financial tools as well. So it's very exciting, some of those things.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm actually going through it right now with your head of coaching, Alana.
Nice. The coaching program.
Yeah. So I thought
life-changing, man.
Yeah,
it really is.
It's been, I've been very impressed so far. Like as I'm going through it, and like I see the question. Like I'm in the industry, right? So I sort of like I kind of understand the back end a little bit, and I see like the questions you're asking for the assessment and all that. And I was like, this is actually really impressive because I can tell by the questions you guys have really thought this out. And I know kind of what you're going to be getting at in future sessions. So it was just, I mean, I just want to say the amount of effort and thought, and like this is not something you guys put together over a week. Like I can tell you guys have invested just a lot.
It's 6 years, right? It's been six. It started off as 6 phone calls. Cornell has just set up 6 calls with the financial one. We'll just talk. But then we've really developed it into, what is a system that even before your first call, our coach knows more about your finances than you do, right? They already have your plan before your first call, right? And they're doing screen shares. They're, taking over. They're not just teaching you, but they're doing the things for you, whether it's opening up the right accounts, transfers, whatever. They're really by your side, like over your shoulder, helping you out. And the systems are what makes it possible. It's Alana, our head coach, has just done an amazing job over 6 years putting together this system, and you get reports and it's just unreal.
Yeah, it's been really great. Well, I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but I remember
I am too. Sorry.
No, it's all good. This is we're on this subject anyway. So I'll tell you, it was really impressive because I'm going through that assessment and seeing those questions and filling in my information. And I thought, okay, I don't know how much I'm going to benefit from this because I've been optimizing my finances for a really long time now. So, but I want to give it a shot. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. Especially, if I'm going to be recommending people to you guys, or I am recommending people to you guys. But I thought I like to try kind of things, before I actually, but it's been really, really impressive. And there's even things when I was doing the questionnaire where it would ask me things, and it would sort of jot my memory of like, oh yeah, that is something that has like been on my to-do list for years that I haven't done yet that I totally should. Right. And so it's like, it was even as someone that's in the space, it kind of brought things to the surface that are really important, but maybe I forgot because like life gets busy and kids and yada, yada, yada. Right. And so I was like, even just like the assessment thing that I was filling out already gave me lots of value because it already brought things kind of to the forefront that I'm like, oh yeah, I really need to firm things up on this and do that, like to optimize things even further. So very, very impressive so far for sure.
Yeah, no, we've put so much into it. And the other thing I like about it is that the focus of the coaching is simple: get results. If we can't get results, you don't pay us. And we have a 2-call money back guarantee. So if you try the coaching out, you're like, okay, let's try it out. And after the first 2 calls, you don't feel like the program will change your life and have a huge, huge return on investment for you and your family. We give 100% of your money back, and we do it with a smile on our face. Because again, if we can't have a huge impact on your finances, we don't deserve your investment or your money. And even our online course, money back guarantees are very generous because we're here to help. We're not just here to sell a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that with you guys. Very much like a long-term focus. It's not like a quick buck kind of thing, short term. Yeah. I mean, like you said, you guys have already been around for it was like a decade, I think, right? Yeah. So I mean, it's been. And all these lessons you've learned over the years, you're now implementing into this. So it's very, very impressive. Let's maybe give I know you guys did set up a thing with both kind of listeners where they can actually get like a free assessment, right? Can you maybe talk about that a bit?
Yeah. So what we've done is we're offering kind of Cornell's listeners and everyone on the podcast, Build Wealth Canada, it's a free 45-minute financial assessment call. And the goal of the call is to really help you plan for your future and understand your different options. It follows a 4-step process, understanding where you're at, what are the challenges, your goals, and what are the different options for you. And by the end of the call, you're going to feel more empowered about your finances. You can learn more about our different programs, but whether or not you join them, you're still going to leave that call feeling like, whoa, that was really refreshing. You're speaking to a financial consultant, and it's about your finances. And most people haven't had an open conversation about their finances like this in a long time. So it's 100% free. It's confidential. There's a link. It's buildwealthcanada.ca/call. Nice and simple, just CALL. And again, the worst case scenario, you hop on this call and you don't get value from it. You just lost 45 minutes of your time. The best case scenario, you get one step closer to financial freedom. So why not give it a shot? The downside isn't that bad. It's 45 minutes. The upside is unbelievable. And I just want to share, like, our coaching program in the first 6 months of 2021, our average coaching client increased their net worth by $49,000 in just 6 months. And they decreased their monthly spending by $1,214 each month, just from, 6 months of working with a financial expert. People have been able to lay a foundation for the rest of their lives. And that's really what it's all about. So if you want to do that free call, you have nothing to lose. You're going to get a lot from it. There's the link. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing how the call goes for everyone.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, because it sounds like what you guys do, like in that assessment, I guess they're really just taking in all this information, and then based on that, on your actual specific situation, the expert or the consultant essentially looks at where there could be some potential holes, some potential areas for optimization. Maybe it's on the mortgage side, maybe it's on the insurance side, maybe you're paying too much in investment fees, right? So because there's so many areas of the personal finance space. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, Arian, but like I'm guessing they take all that the information and then analyze it, and then probably do some probing questions in the first call and such.
Absolutely.
And then they're like, all right, here's where we need to focus, because this is where sort of the lowest hanging fruit is, that's going to have the biggest sort of bang per hour invested, or that kind of thing. Is that pretty much how
Absolutely, yeah. And by the end of the call, you're just going to know your different options. Like, okay, I got option A, option B, option C, based on where I'm at. And these are my challenges. Like, by the end of the call, you'll know, okay, these are the 3 areas that I'm like, I need help with. And in most cases, it's not financial related. In most cases, it's you lack accountability, or you're a little bit nervous, or maybe your spouse isn't on the same page. So then we'll design solutions for you, and it's customized to you and your situation. That's the best part about these calls. It's one-on-one, customized to you. And by the end of it, you'll know your options. And whether or not, again, you join Enriched Academy, whether it's our online platform or coaching, you'll still leave that call feeling better about your finances, because you were able to identify those challenges that are holding you back. And now you're aware of the different options you have.
Awesome. Thank you. So yeah, we definitely jumped ahead with that one, but it was just an interesting, definitely something worth mentioning. Yeah. So that link again, it's buildwealthcanada.ca/call, just CALL. And that will basically, I think like Arian said, it's all free. There's no obligation or anything like that. It's just kind of worth a shot, just to basically see, are there any opportunities for optimization in your particular situation? And I really like how it's not just education, just, hey, watch this video and you'll learn everything, right? It's more, let's actually make it custom for you, because everyone's situation is a little different, and what's maybe optimal for one person isn't optimal for the other. And one thing might have a really big return for one person, but not for another. So like it's very kind of individually tailored, right?
Absolutely. The coaching is all about doing, right? Knowing is great. Knowing what to do is step one. We found a lot of Canadians have challenges doing, right? Okay, open the right account, do the budget, do the net worth tracking, and the coaches will do it for you, right? And it just helps Canadians get results 10 times faster than trying to do it on their own. Because you're getting like someone to look at your situation that's an expert and give you advice and really hold your hand to make sure you do it, hold you accountable. Like, it's not easy. I want to be clear. This isn't a walk in the park. There's, Cornel, you'll experience it. There's homework, there's assignments, there's things that you have to do. But the reason we do that is, how can we create a foundation in 6 months that the rest of your life, you're set, you're good, the stress is gone, you're working towards financial freedom, you have this plan. And the best way to do it is by educating you, helping you do it, and actually doing it, right? And holding you accountable. So that's really what it's all about.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for sharing that. So I've got the last question. We'll go back to the questions here.
Cornel and I have an agenda right now. Like, we created, like, here are the list of questions, and it's not even close to what we had.
Well, after question 1, and then we start talking about the kids' education thing, I was like, oh dear, we're already off the rails here.
Oh, it's fine. I'm enjoying it. I hope if you're listening, you're enjoying it as well.
Yeah. I think it's good. I think listeners will find it helpful. So,
Nice.
but yeah, let's go back to our last actually planned question, which is when it comes to debt, how are Canadians doing versus the rest of the world, and what are your favorite strategies that we can use to lower the interest on our debt?
Yeah, like household debt right now, I searched this right before. In Canada, the debt ratio is 171%, which basically means for every dollar we make, we owe $1.71. Compared to the world, we are the fifth most indebted country in the world. And, America is $1.09. So basically every dollar Americans make, they owe $1.09. We're $1.71. So we are way worse than our neighbors down south. And so top three strategies for us to lower your debt. Number one, balance transfers. This is an absolute no-brainer where credit card companies will actually allow you to transfer your credit card balance to them as long as it's a different institution. So let's say you have $20,000 in credit card debt with TD. CIBC will say, hey, listen, Arian, I want that debt and transfer it to us, and you won't pay interest for a year. And so this is a really good short-term solution if you have a long-term plan. Because if you have $20,000 in credit card debt, you're paying $4,000 a year in interest. So if you can transfer that debt where you're not paying that interest, take that extra $4,000 that you were paying, use it to pay off your debt faster, it's a no-brainer. And there's a lot of options. Just search online, balance transfer credit cards in Canada. Number two, pay off high interest debt with low interest debt. If you have credit card debt right now, that is enemy number one. You got to do everything that you can to get that debt lower. So if you have line of credit or a home equity line of credit that you're paying 3 to 4% interest to pay off debt that you're paying 20% interest, it's a no-brainer. Pay off that high interest debt. Now, you shouldn't celebrate and say, oh, yes, we finally paid off our credit card debt and go rack up that credit card again and go on vacation, because now you have the credit card debt in the line of credit debt. But that's a great option. You can also negotiate your credit card interest. In some cases, you can actually negotiate the credit card debt amount. We had one student who used our script, called the credit card company and said, listen, I'm not paying this debt. Like, there's no way that I'm paying if they were in a lot of debt, $35,000 in credit card debt, they were actually able to negotiate the total debt from like $35,000 to $7,000.
Wow.
Not everyone's going to be able to do that, but that's definitely an option. Your interest, for sure, you can negotiate the interest that you're paying. And then I'd also challenge you to fix the root problem. The problem isn't the credit card interest. The problem isn't that you're living paycheck to paycheck or housing is too expensive. There is a root problem, which is, I don't know what it is. Everyone's different. Some people it's discipline, some people it's education, some people, I don't know what to do. Until you address that root problem, you're going to continue to have the financial challenges in your life. And that's the big part of that assessment call is that financial freedom consultant is going to ask you some tough questions to really find out what's the root problem. And to me, that's the most exciting thing, because once you have the root problem, you can now create a plan on how to tackle it, how to deal with it. And that's going to help you get to your goals. But until you find out what that problem is, you're going to be stuck, right? And no matter where you're at, whether you're saving, whether you're in debt, everyone is facing a hurdle, whether it's a mental hurdle or a financial hurdle. Even if you're doing really well, there's a hurdle that's holding you back from getting to that next level. What is that hurdle? Until you find it, you can't create a plan around it. So those are my tips around debt.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. So maybe we already talked about this, but maybe tell us a bit more about Enriched Academy, the free assessment call that you offer. I know, so we've got kind of the two links to really remember. There's the free script for the money saving piece, which was buildwealthcanada.ca/script. And then for the free assessment call, it's buildwealthcanada.ca/call. Did you have anything to add, Arian? Anything at all?
I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And yeah, once you download the script, you're going to be kind of in our ecosystem. So we do a weekly class on a financial topic. It's free. So please attend. It's Tuesday at 1 p.m. We have retirement planning coming up, real estate investing. We have an actual, one on robo-advisors. So every week, these are free, very entertaining, engaging classes. It's a webinar. There's a PowerPoint. So that'll be really fun for you to join. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's class and enjoy the resources and the free call. I hope it helps. And Cornell, thank you so much. It was an honor. It's a pleasure. Love what you're doing with this podcast. It's a pleasure being able to partner with you and work with you for the past year. So it's been really fun.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much. I appreciate it too. And yeah, it's been great working with you and the team. Like I said, I've interviewed Kevin McCarthy, founder of the TFSA, before on the summit, and yeah, like it's always been really fun working with you guys and helping with the education piece for sure. You guys are definitely a positive force in all of this and helping Canadians sort of get a handle on their finances and and I love how you guys don't actually sell investment products. I think that's huge because as soon as someone's selling the products, then it's almost like their advice feels like it's getting a little tainted, right? Because you're kind of like, okay, are you telling me this because you've got my best interest at heart, or are you telling me this because how great this investment is because you're actually selling it, or But in your case, you guys don't do that. So I love how that you guys have made that conscious decision of no, we're focusing on financial education and sort of improving the lives of Canadians in that way, and not by selling financial products. So your advice is actually unbiased. So that's always great to see. And I love working with companies like that. So it's wonderful. And I'm excited for my call next week as well with Alana. So that'll be awesome.
Oh no, let me know how that goes.
We'll do. Yeah. Sounds good. Always looking to optimize even more, right? There's always more to learn.
Yes, always. Even 1%.
That's right. That's right. And that's the thing, right? It's like you guys tackle all these different things in our financial lives in these, the coaching, but it's like, even if you just apply one of them, that one thing alone can make such a big difference, right? Like, even if you just take the mortgage advice or you just take, the investments advice, right? Like that alone could be enough to make all of this worthwhile, right? Just because like we talked about before, that in the financial space, we're not talking about clipping coupons to save a quarter here, right? Like generally it's in the thousands or tens of thousands, at least from what I've seen. Yeah.
All it takes is one idea to change your life. And like this script that you guys will have access to, like if you can call your service providers and save a couple $100s a month, it's, that's a lot of money for most Canadians. Like that can be the difference from living paycheck to paycheck to, okay, now I have $200-300 of leftover money. Now I can start investing. That could be the spark that changes everything for you and your family. And this resource, it's quick, it's easy. You can call them next week and prepare and start saving a lot of money. Some of you won't save a ton. Some of you are going to save so much, you're going to be like, what the heck was I doing? We had one individual saving like $2,000 a month, just had all these subscriptions, didn't know what she was doing. Her Rogers bill was like $400 a month for no reason. It was just out of control. She railed it, but it was like 30 years of improper, not looking at this, and it just added up and added up. So anyway, that one idea can change your life. It's all it takes. One good idea.
Awesome. All right, Arian. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and looking forward to having you on again. And you'll be at the summit as well, the Canadian Financial Summit. So. Looking forward to seeing you there and taking part with you again. And awesome. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Cornell. Thanks everyone for listening. Hope you enjoyed it and have a great day.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
All right. I hope you enjoyed the episode. A big thanks to Arian and his team for letting Build Wealth Canada listeners have that free assessment call with their coaches to see if there are any ways that your finances can be optimized. I've been a huge supporter of Enriched Academy over the years. They provide top-notch education and they don't sell any financial products. So I love how my Enriched coach isn't trying to sell me anything. It's all focused specifically on optimizing my finances. I'm sure there'll be a huge benefit for you too. And their average coaching client has increased their passive income by $2,342. They've increased their net worth on average by $44,932, increase their credit score by 25 points, and reduce their advisor fees by 1.25%, which translates to tens of thousands of dollars saved long term. So again, that page to get a free assessment call with one of their coaches is at buildwealthcanada.ca/enriched. And lastly, I hope to see you next week at the summit. The free tickets are at buildwealthcanada.ca/summit. That'll let you watch all the videos for free. It's only for a limited time, so definitely sign up now so you don't miss it. We've got over 20,000 Canadians already attending. There are over 37 interviews and presentations that you'll learn a ton from. It's free. And if you're listening to this after September 25th, when the summit is over for the year, I'll leave that link up for you so you can still sign up for free. And that way you'll get free tickets to next year's summit as well. So again, that link for the free tickets is buildwealthcanada.ca/summit. I hope to see you there next week and have a great week.
Thanks for listening to the Build Wealth Canada podcast at www.buildwealthcanada.ca.